This is Luke, and I'm Lori, and we have 6 weeks to get our steel sailboat seaworthy so we can move her to the south of Brazil and continue her construction. It's not going to be easy, but that hasn't stopped us before. We have come this far. We have overcome every obstacle. We have met every challenge, and we said we were going to finish this project. So there's no turning back now. It's a race against time. Good morning, and so here I am inside of the LAHAKAI, and well, it's another day and it's another wonderful discovery. Here we are. I'm going to show you. We were working on the hull, just finishing up things. We're actually already putting the fairing compound on the outside of the hull and cleaning up on the inside. And we kept finding little places. We're a little bit compromised. We're thinking that because we changed most of the hull, especially around the water line, but we were still remaining with the pieces around the keel. Now the thing is that it's thicker steel, so we were thinking this is going to be okay. The condition is looking good, but as we sanded, just more kept coming off. And so we have a couple of pieces that we started to replace. And as we started to replace them and touch the rest of the panel, it just continuously seemed like the problem would never stop. So we sat down and said, in all seriousness, this is a matter of safety. This is a matter of whether or not we want to be traveling around the world, being concerned about this always, or if we could, kind of sleep tight in this condition, and just came down to it's not worth it, and we're gonna spend the money now and change this so that we can really sleep easy at night, knowing that, one of the most important parts of the boat is safe, is new, is in good condition. So I'm going to show you here what we're looking at. So in our attempt to save the original panels and also save some money, as you know, it just keeps going. It just keeps going when it comes to old boats. You just never know what you're gonna get. And we had already changed almost all of the water line, below the water line of the hull. Almost all of this is changed except for the front here. This bottom part was actually in very good condition. It was one of the first things that we saw, and which made us believe that the rest of the hull was gonna be okay. So it was quite deceiving when we purchased it, and we're not sure we could have gotten around that, because it really underneath the paint was holding all the secrets. So here we are, and you can see that we started to replace little pieces by pieces, and in this we lost a lot of time. We lost a lot of time assuming that this was all okay. Started here, we went here, and then recently we started with another piece, and then once we got over to this area, so this was one of the original ones that we changed to. Once we started getting here, and it just started flaking off, and we started getting pieces like this. And as you can see, that is a thick piece of metal, especially when we're talking about a 4mm. What is this? Already 1 millimeter worth. So now we're talking a 3mm. and the rest is compromised. You don't know what the condition is in. And as we're hitting around and it was around here, see, as you can see, the biggest issues is around here. And that being said, we were like, we can't continue on like this. We made the hard decision. We are cutting out, so this is all new. This panel from the front all the way here is a 3 meter panel, and here is a second 3 meter panel. So all of this is brand new. So if you can imagine, it would have saved us a lot of time if we had known the condition in the first place, because we would have just cut out everything and replaced everything with large panels and reduced the amount of welding that we had to do. But since we were still trying to understand the condition of the metal, of the steel, we were going little by little. This was the original piece, and we said, oh, okay, well, all of this will change this. Okay, but then all of this will change this. And then all of this will change this. And so just like that on the floor, in the end, everything is easier in retrospect, of course. And this is what we are changing now. We are changing this entire part that is a joint with the keel. We are starting from where we have already, this is the new piece, so we're starting from here, and we are going all the way as far as we can. I believe we're cutting all the way to here, which is around 3 meters as well, and we're doing both sides. We're going to do one side. We've already stabilized the keel, so when we cut off this piece and re-weld it, it'll be good, and then we're going to do the other side. Unfortunately, it will destroy a little bit of the masa that we put on the sides already, so another little bit of a loss, but you know, you can't put a price on safety. So when they weld there, the welding is so hot that it actually burns some of it. But we think we'll only lose a little bit of it. Sand it down, put it back on. We would have to recover up the weld, however it goes with the masa. I'm saying masa, but it's a epoxy fairing compound in English. So that's where we're at right now. I'm a little numb when it comes to this process now. I think I've gone through all the trauma of wanting to save money, and now I'm just really concerned in making something that is a good and safe vessel, something that's going to be trustworthy when we're in the water, because one of the first places Luke wants to go is Shuai. So he wants to go somewhere cold with rough waters, and so this ship has got this vessel, this sailboat has got to be in really good condition to do that. So biting the bullet.
So we dove right in, fearlessly doing what we do best, ripping apart this boat and making it new again. Steel bars were welded to the keel and the side of the hull to support the keel, while we were cutting out the old plates and frames on the bottom of the hull. We traced the shape onto our new 5mm plates of steel and then welded them back on. We were under pressure, so all hands were on deck. There was no time left. We had to make this dream come alive. were so many more details needed to be completed to get her seaworthy.
So I think we've been doing this for the last 5 months, and this whole process, it comes in waves, right? I think emotional waves. Some days you arrive and you're just super excited to go, and you can see all the potential and you can see the ending. You see that finish line, and you know you just give it all you got. And some days like today, I get here and I'm beat. Today is one of those days where everything seems a little bit farther away. Everything seems a little bit longer. Everything looks a little more expensive, and you know, I look to Luke because he's just continuously positive and focused on achieving it. So I think he rarely has days like these. He has a couple where they're pretty hard on him, and then, you know, I do my best to cheer him up, and then we get going. And the day is a tough day. That's what we're up to. That's the update. That's the bad news, but we're trying to stay positive and keep moving forward. So one day this will be a beautiful living room. Can you imagine? Yeah. What are you doing?
Cabeça.
after giving it our all, our blood, our sweat, our tears, our hopes, and our dreams. We had one more thing we had to do before we could know for sure she could go on her first journey.
Vai. Adoro.